I have a bunch of friends. They're all different. Some are funny, some are serious, some are conservative, some are liberal, some are East Coast, some are West Coast, some are men, some are women, some are young, some are older. I like it that way. It's the same way I like my sports. I don't want the NFL to become the NBA. And I don't want the UFC to become baseball. Like, there's every sport has a different culture. And I would say international soccer and the NBA are very star-driven. I'm good with it. I don't need my sports all to be the same thing. But football isn't as star-driven, and Troy Aikman talked about the Rams and the direction they're headed. He's not the only person that is saying that in the league, and I think Troy Aikman may have a point. So this morning I went up and I looked up the top 3 winningest NFL franchises in the last decade. New England, number 1. They are the opposite of a super team. They let stars go all the time. It's getting value. Even Tom Brady took pay cuts. It is getting value. Number 2 is Green Bay, the opposite culture of a super team. Again, wouldn't even go get J.J. Watt. It's about value with Green Bay. Building through the draft. The 2 winningest teams. You know who's number 3? They've hit hard times. The Seattle Seahawks. Why? What is their identity today? I think New England. I think smart, seeking value, efficient, power, defense. I think Green Bay, value, development, building through the draft. I think of Seattle this morning. The hell are they? They've lost their core identity. Why? Oh, it's a very top-heavy roster. Stars. Here's the downside to stars. It's a very strict salary cap in the NFL. So when you pay for a star, you have to validate his existence. Ooh, Matt Stafford's in town. We're going to become a throw-the-football team. Time out. That's not what the Rams were 4 years ago, 3 years ago. When Sean McVay came into this league, it was Todd Gurley, run the football, play action pass, a lot of movement. What are the Rams now? They're talented. What's their core identity? When Seattle, Pete Carroll came to the Seahawks, Legion of Boom, power running Marshawn Lynch, fast defense running everywhere. What is Seattle now? They're terrible defensively. Special teams are hit and miss. They can't run the football. When you spend big money, I would argue this. This is where football's culture is different. Find me an average or a poor football team, and I will find you a team with a poor and average identity. A great example is college football this year. Jim Harbaugh, for the first time at Michigan, found an identity. They were a power run football team. Number 3 in college football's Power 5 conferences. They finally beat Ohio State. Brian Kelly was successful from day one at Notre Dame, but about 6 years ago, he pivoted, and he acknowledged he pivoted. He said, we're going to become offensive line first, run the football, power football. They are 54-9 at Notre Dame since he's done that. That's pretty remarkable, right? What is your core identity? When you play in a strict salary cap league, OBJ in Cleveland, we got to get him the ball. That's not your identity. Cleveland's been at its best when his identity is Nick Chubb in the O-line. That's their identity. But you get the star receiver, and now L.A. is an Ohio version, a little bit, of the Cleveland Browns. Their identity was power football. Aaron Donald beat you at the point of attack, play action, jet sweeps. It's all passing now. And so even in free agency, New England's the great example. When you have a strong core identity, your dips are very brief because you know what you are. New England's a great example. They lose the greatest quarterback ever. They have a dip. But they didn't lose their identity because Cam, power running quarterback. They got Cam for no money. This year they went into free agency. But it was all value. Kendrick Bourne, his $3 million cap hit. Matthew Judon's a $6 million cap hit. So even in their down year, they didn't get away from what they really were. Smart, efficient, power-running, play-good defense. New England was that last year. I mean, they came within 2 plays of being 9-7, not 7-9. And this year, with Mac Jones, limitations, if I said 5 words to describe New England: smart, efficient, value, power-run defense. When you have a core identity, because all companies have dips, you go back and look and read the book about Steve Jobs and Apple. When they plummeted off a cliff, Steve Jobs left the company, and they plummeted. And he came back and he said, you guys have 8,000 products. Give me 4. You're confusing the consumer. What are we? We're smart. We're clever. We're fun. We're transformational. 4 products. Shrink the catalog. Back to having an identity. And so what Troy Aikman is basically saying, super teams in a strict salary cap, you kind of lose yourself. What have we been talking about, Joy and I, for the last couple of months? The Rams have lost themselves. McVay's kind of lost themselves. Basketball, I watched the Warriors. The super team worked. I watch Brooklyn now. James Harden, Kevin Durant, they're better than they were 3 years ago. They had great chemistry years ago. They didn't have those guys. So sports are best when there's different cultures for each one. And I think Troy's on to something. So the Cowboys tonight are going to play the New Orleans Saints. The Cowboys are going to win because the Saints are falling apart. Alvin Kamara out. Ryan Ramczyk, a great offensive lineman, out. The Cowboys are going to have Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb. So Dallas is going to win tonight. The Saints are actually becoming a little bit like New England last year. Great culture, great team, great legendary gold jacket coach. But COVID hit for the Patriots. They pull back for a year until they find their quarterback. Saints this year, they pull back. They've had injuries. They pull back. They got to find their quarterback next year. So it's just not going to be a year for New Orleans. They're just not good enough at quarterback to overcome the injuries. And New England last year wasn't dynamic enough at quarterback to overcome their opt-outs. But the Cowboys will win tonight. But it's interesting. This is what Amari Cooper is a really good player. He's not a top 10, 12 wide receiver, but he's a really good player. But here's what always concerns me a little about Dak. The great quarterbacks lift others. They don't need to be lifted. Although, if you have a first ballot Hall of Fame left tackle, he's obviously going to help any quarterback, but Aaron Rodgers can win when he's on his third left tackle. Is that Dak's career with Amari Cooper, he is an A quarterback, 68% completion percentage, 102.6 passer rating, 73 touchdowns and 24 interceptions. That is Dak with. And here's Dak this year without him. 0-2. Everything goes down, 83 passer rating. Now, you could say, Colin, that's unfair. It's just 2-game sample. All right, though, okay. Let's go back to the year Amari Cooper joined Dak Prescott. Remember that year? 7 games. Dak had a losing record, 62% completion percentage, passer rating at 87. Dak is an A quarterback with Amari Cooper, and he's a B- quarterback without him. Some would say a C. Now, Aaron Rodgers is 10-0 without Devontae Adams. Patrick Mahomes is 4-1 without Tyreek Hill. Tom Brady was 12-4 his last year in New England. And his number one receiver was Julian Edelman, an old Julian Edelman who's since retired, and James White, a running back. Is that Brady's career and Aaron's career and Mahomes' career is so far lifting others. Dak feels too driven by Zeke early and Amari Cooper lately. Dak needs to make Amari Cooper. And I'll give you an example. Here's a stat that's a little alarming. This year, Dallas is 5-0 this year when Zeke has just 52 yards rushing. 52 yards. Dallas is 2-4 when he has less. What? Zeke is no longer as good, I would argue, as Tony Pollard on some games. So I'm not saying that Amari Cooper isn't good. But Devontae Adams is significantly better, I think. Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen has elevated him. He was good with Kirk Cousins. But they won games the year before without Stephon Diggs. Josh has elevated Stephon Diggs. Josh didn't need Stephon Diggs to be great. And so that's what worries me, is that the best records of Dak's career were with a young Zeke, and the best record of his current career is with a healthy Amari Cooper. He's not that special. Amari Cooper's a really good player. They should not be winning or losing tonight based on Amari Cooper. Derek Carr last week on a short week, interim coach on the road, no Henry Ruggs, no Darren Waller, maybe the second best tight end, put on a clinic. Like, that was a big bag quarterback game. Road game, short week, interim coach, superstar tight end, the only deep threat, didn't have any of them. Chaos around the organization. Carr outplays him. And so tonight, Dallas is going to win. But I really, in a weird way, I would like to see Dak without Amari tonight, because Dallas right now is just a healthier, better team. It shouldn't come down to Amari Cooper's health restricting a $40 million a year quarterback. And that's always been my concern. I know he's good. Nobody doubts that. He's very, very talented. You start looking around the league, Amari Cooper should not dictate wins and losses. He is not in Vegas worth a point. He's very good, could make the Hall of Fame. I mean, he's a good player. He has 6-7 more years, could be a Hall of Famer. I'm not doubting that. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd, or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.